Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Andy Lane. I'm the conference chair for Cambridge 2012. Well, welcome to Cambridge. Welcome to the United Kingdom. I was thinking about what might reflect this sort of invitation to all the people from around the UK and around the world visiting this conference. Things that are going on that I could make allusions to. I thought, well, what's happening this year? Well, for us is the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. I thought, no, that doesn't seem a very appropriate thing to relate things to. I thought there's Olympics. Oh, the Olympics will be happening here in London. I thought, well, no, yes, that's about sporting achievement, but we're not about trying to win in anything like this. We're about sharing, collaborating, and knowledge. So I thought, what else is that's happening this year, certainly here in the UK, which might be relevant to this conference? And I thought, well, it's the bicentenary of Charles Dickens' birth. I thought, oh, well, actually, that's quite interesting. Some things I can do with that. Well, Charles Dickens wrote lots of novels, but actually those novels have been turned into film plays, musicals, theatre plays, screenplays. All sorts of things have been done with them, even into animations and things. And that sort of gives a hint, that a work, in this case it's been copyrighted, but the ideas of things can be adapted, shared, created into new forms. And obviously that's very relevant for what we're doing. We wanted to take education resources from one area, the ideas that people have encapsulated in that, and be able to rework them and reuse them in a different way, reset them from a different context to do other things. And I thought, what else? Well, Charles Dickens wrote lots of other novels, and there was also Oliver Twist. And Oliver Twist was very famous for coming up and saying, "Please, sir, I want some more." And I think that's one of the things that we all want. We want some more open education resources, more open courseware out there, because we feel that people around the world demand and deserve to have more of those open education resources, to try and give access to something of the educational opportunities that many of us have benefited from, and hopefully they can be used as well as the sort of basis for their educational and learning journeys. So I thought this is very, very relevant to this. But I also thought, what's another? Tale of Two Cities. And so I think there's an interesting play on Tale of Two Cities, including Cambridge and Manchester. Now, because this is a joint conference, and so for the UK side of this is OER 12. Now, OER 11 was held in Manchester last year. Actually, OER 10 the year before was actually held in Cambridge here again, so Cambridge comes back, so there's that. But of course, even for the Open Courseware Consortium, last year's conference, their global conference, was held in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And so I thought this is very appropriate.
Just came from there.
Did you? Thank you. And I thought this is a very appropriate way to highlight the fact that this is also about the coming together of not only ourselves, but two sets of conferences in one, in which we're trying to sort of build upon that local and the global elements of open education resources and open courseware. And the global and the local is very important. We were supposed to hear about the local, in a sense, the UK side of this, from a keynote speaker this morning, Sarah Porter from JISC. Unfortunately, she's ill and unable to be here. So we've done a little bit of rejigging of the conference program on the keynotes, and we're going to brought forward the keynote from our last keynote on Wednesday to today to bring in much more of the global, but also the local. So for our keynote this morning, we've got Eko, and he is president of Apticon. He's Secretary General of the National Standards Board of Indonesia, and that's just two of the many roles and activities that he has had in that country. And he's going to be telling us something about developing the open education ecosystem in campus, and many other things that they're involved in Indonesia, which I think are very relevant to this conference and what we're doing. So, Eko, I invite you to come and give your keynote.
To know is to love. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is very simple, Eko. If you come to Indonesia, you will find 9.2 million people named Eko. And today we have 21 professors from Indonesia. 3 has named Eko. Why? Because Eko means the first son of the family. So anytime you come and visit a person from Indonesia named Eko, he must be the first son of the family. All right, I would like to share to you today about the research that we have done in 350 universities in Indonesia related to open education and open resource initiative. I think we have to switch the... Okay, never mind, I will start anyway. Anybody of you have come to Indonesia? It's only 16 hours from here. We are the largest archipelago in the world. If you open the Wikipedia, they said that Indonesia have 18,000 islands. But if you open the Encyclopedia of Britannica, you will see 13,000 islands. Which one is correct, 13,000 or 18,000? We did the research and we come to the conclusion that both are correct. It depends on whether it's a full moon or not. Because during full moon, the water level is increased, we have 13,000 islands. And no moon is 18,000 islands. So we have 5,000 islands. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not. And out of the 18,000 islands, only 3,000 islands who have names. So you can put your name in any islands in Indonesia. We still need about 14,000 names. Actually, instead of the island, we are divided into 33 states, 497 dialects, 5,000 municipalities, 40 million students. So maybe almost the same the student for the whole Europe. We have 40 million students, K-12 plus higher learning students. You still have problem? Because I have to show you why open education become a national initiative right now, because it's coming from the very serious problems faced by our nation. And the first problem is how to get this PowerPoint. Welcome to Indonesia. Do you have any questions? I'm kind of forgot. Okay, to be exact, it's 18,677. Okay.
So how many islands right now?
Is this a full moon? Okay, we have 583 dialects, 127 million labor force, and 40 million students. Our territory is exactly like United States, but 60% are sea, water. So we have a communication problem, and we have information dissemination problems. Next slide. The problem number 1 is this. If you see this one, this is the distribution of Indonesian universities. And if you see the red one, is the area where we need university more than currently we have. But the green one is already full with university. We have total of 3,016 higher learning institutions all over the country, serving about 237 million of population. Now this is the first problem you see, the red areas and the yellow areas. Is the area where the access to education is very low and become our serious problems. Next slide. And if you see the gross enrollment rate, it's very low to higher education, only 26%. Out of 19 million students that should go to university, only 5 million is currently enrolled. We have the problem of enrollment. Next slide. Only 3 states out of 33 states, if you see, that most of the citizens go to universities. Our capital city, and one of the famous Yogyakarta, and another part in the eastern area. But if you see here, in one of the small islands, only less than 5% people going to the universities. Next slide. Another problem is the professor problems, the number of PhDs. We have only 3,200 PhD, serving 5 billion students. It means one PhD should serve 1,500 students. This is a real problem faced by our country. Next slide. The education attainment trends, the one that's finished higher education is only 11%. Next slide. But our constitution already set up 10 standards that should be met by all Indonesian universities. This is, we define our national standard as the minimum requirements that should be fulfilled by all universities in Indonesia. And if you map those 3,016 universities to this minimum standards, you will see these figures. Next slide. Only 0.5%, or about 15 universities, are on the top 1,000 university ranked in the world. Only 3% universities have an accreditation A. And if you see here, 91.5% have a C accreditation or less. This is a present condition situation. This brings us, next slide, that we have to find a breakthrough solution to overcome this issue, unless we will be left behind, especially by other Asian countries. If you see 20 years ago, in Southeast Asia, we are still on the top 1, top 2 after Singapore or Malaysia. But now, we are left behind because of these problems. So we have a problem of disparity, we have a problem of diversity, we have a problem of resource limitation, access to education, quantity, quality, affordability, and also infrastructures because of those islands. So what should we do? Next slide. At the same time, we are introducing the 21st century paradigm on learning, where we know the use of information communication technology is very important, at least to help us to achieve our target in education. So, next slide. So this is the solution proposed by the education community and the Ministry of Education in Indonesia. Number 1, we have to increase the access to the quality education. We have to share our resources. We have to promote and enforce collaboration. We have to utilize technology. And the last one, we have to institutionalize the Open Education Initiative. So that is the result of the National Summit of the Indonesian Community in Education. And the question is how we are doing it in the last 2 years. Next slide. We have to do this under 5 principles in the higher learning institution. Number 1, every university still compete to each others. But if you can collaborate on something, why don't you collaborate it? As long as it is compliance with the government regulation. But in doing the collaboration and competition, you have to think in a systemic and holistic manners. It means in a comprehensive manner, not just for the short term, but for the long term, for the benefit of the countries. And we don't believe on the invisible hands. We have to do something in terms of coordination. We have to design the ecosystem Ecosystem in ecosystem, not a system by eco, but in the ecosystem. Because somebody protests me, this is ecosystem. Now I forget. We have to design so that those 5 initiatives, especially on open education, can be implemented well. Because we believe that success can be designed. Next slide. This is a sporadic initiative that already happening in Indonesia in the last 5 years. We started with open to make it easier. Open content, open content, open journal. Even you have open professors. What is open professors? Because in Indonesia, professor is not like other professor outside the countries. The one that appoint the professor is not the universities. The one that appoint the professor is the President of the Republic Indonesia through the Ministry of Education. So after it's appointed by the President, you have to stay in one university. You cannot become a member of other universities. So open professor means this professor should take care of several universities at once. So not the professor that is moving from one university to others, but the knowledge that will be moving. We have open facilities, open conference, open learning, and the last one is open research. Next slide. Now, this is just the example on how the education communities and Ministry of Education is already digitalized 1,000 books of K-12. So we have about 1,000 books in Indonesia. I think some of the books used by Obama, because Obama 5 years spent in Indonesia during the primary school. Yeah. So 5 of the books are here.
Also an echo.
Yeah. And we give it for free. The IPR was bought by the government of Indonesia, and everybody can download it, everybody can share it, everybody can distribute it. Not just the electronic books, we also have the electronic journals. We already also have the content of the presentation and other kind of things. Next slide. And also we are trying to build our open education architectures. This research actually conducted by me and my other fellow professors, Professor Ucok in, can you stand up, Professor Ucok? This is my colleague in doing the education. He's the one that built the Indonesian open Indonesian architectures. So I will delivering this presentation, and if you have question and answer, he will be the one who taking care of it. So make sure you have a very difficult questions. Next slide. Now, after 5 years of introducing the initiative, we want to know how successful we are. So, Ministry of Education, our association, which is the Association of Computer Science Universities, plus the Indonesian Telecom, plus the Indonesian ICT, National ICT Council, plus one of the Indonesian research magazine, is conducting a research on 350 universities in the countries. And with 4 objectives. Number 1, we want to measure the adoption level of the open education. The second one, we want to define the issues surrounding that initiative. The third one, we want to design what we call as the ecosystem, because we know that success should be designed. And the last one, we try to finding the ways to expedite the implementation. And this is the result that we want to share it to you. Next slide. Yeah. Next slide. Okay. This is a voice recognition technology. When we do the survey, we don't want to become an assessor that do the assessment. We want the university to do the self-assessment, so that we are using the maturity model. We want the university to map themselves in which level they are in currently. This is an example of the leveling model. 0 means do not care, 1 little support, 5 it already become a culture. Or, next slide. This is another 5 level of gradation. One more. Next slide. Or 0 means nobody involved, 1 means a few people involved, or 5 means everybody involved. So we have some kind of spectrum of gradation of the answer, because we want to know the maturity level of every universities. Next slide. The framework that we are using is the very simple internal campus ecosystem. One, we're measuring the infrastructures. We are measuring the superstructures and policy of the campus. We are measuring the people, all the stakeholder community literacy, the process, the content, and also the tools. 104 questions. And this is the result. Next slide. In terms of infrastructures, our government is very, very progressive on doing that. Almost all universities in Indonesia already covered by IT. We have special network we call Inherent, Indonesia Higher Education Networks. It's already touching all universities in Indonesia. So we don't have problems in connectivity. We don't have problem in computer for staff. For students, yes, we are still in this level. Only 32%, plus the students who have notebooks. We still have 26% of the students don't have notebook. This is on the higher education, not in the K-12. This is on the infrastructure. Next slide. But on the superstructures, we are still left behind. The money, the investment, the incentive, the policies, the regulation, we are still in level 2. Our target, actually, we have to achieve this level 3. This is the number of the proportion of the position of the university of the 350 campus. Next slide. In terms of people, you see, even our professor literacy is still on the level 3. Not all Indonesian professors can use IT, although they have notebooks. So maybe they are using notebooks for something else, to play games, email, or whatever. And almost all of them have an iPad right now. Yeah, but we don't know. And by the way, Indonesia is number 2 of using Facebook, number 2 of using Twitters, with the growth number 1 in the world, 168% of Facebook and Twitter. And they're using also for studying. Technology culture, we are also still in the level 3. And we don't have incentive or training program adequate in its campus to trigger the professors, to trigger the staff, or even the students to use IT or to share knowledge. Next slide. On the process of learning, using OCW, using Creative Commons license, promoting open education, or storing contents in one place so that everybody can download it, we are still on the level 2 out of 5. You see, all of the majority are still on this level. So in terms of open education, we are still quite left behind because we want to push this one into at least level 3 for all campus. Next slide. And in terms of content, look at this one. Willingness to open is quite low. 43% is almost 60%. Only 29% of the professors are willing to share their contents. And they are sharing by uploading it. Most of them are sharing by uploading it. Sharing facilities, labs, 39% still on the level 2. So again, in terms of sharing the content, we are still far away from our target. Next slide. And this is tools. But interestingly, most of the professors already digitalize their content, but they don't share it. They just digitalize and keep it on their external drive. Even they don't, before. One slide before. So they just can you back to the previous slide? Back to the previous slide? Yeah, okay. And if you see this one, they digitalize it. They are using ICT, but they don't use it for the e-learning purposes. So it's just for themselves. But 25% of the professors challenge the students to do the homework based on IT. So this is somewhat promising. Next slide. Based on that figures, we do the discussion with the universities. And we asked them how to expedite the open education initiative. So in 2 years at least, all of those criteria will become minimum at the level of 3. And based on the discussion, this is the 4 aspects that they are saying. If these 4 aspects can be there, all of us will be embracing the initiative easier. What is this 4 aspect? Number 1, next slide. The government force. For 32 years, education in Indonesia is centralized. So we are used to be commanded by somebody. After 32 years of dictatorship, and they opened it everything, everybody become confused. So everybody is very afraid to do a new initiative. So if the government say, you have to go open education, the rectors will ask, okay, can I have the government decrees on that? If you have the white, black on white papers on the decree, everybody will follow it. We just know, currently, our government working on this one. They are preparing the e-learning and distance education decree, preparing digital books and e-journal decree, and the use of ICT for education decree. So it will be a must. And there should be a rewards and incentives. Almost all campuses get an incentive from the government. And they want to change the initiative. Your grant will not be sustained unless you share the facilities or the grant that we are allocating to you. So that is one of the design that we are trying to do. The second one, collaborating project endorsement. If there are several universities work together for the betterness of the education in the country, the government will endorse it and support it. As long as you have a good faith, that's what the government said. And the last one is the government is trying to do the innovation on the environment. So this is the things that in this year will be introduced by the government of Indonesia to expedite the initiative. The second one is, this is the most interesting one. Next slide. The accreditation board force. Indonesian university is very afraid with the accreditation body. That's why today I'm bringing also Indonesian, two of Indonesian delegation are coming from accreditation bodies. I have 2 professors in the audience. Pak Jasi, can you stand up? This is from the accreditation body. He has a very interesting idea that we will be put into our regulation, which is this one. The last paradigm said, if you are the university who has A grade, you have to help the other universities. That's the old paradigm. The new paradigm, we will change the rules into, if you don't share, we will not give you A as an accreditation. So that's how we are going to do it. We are working on that. And the computer science department will become the pilot project. So unless you collaborate, we will not give you an A, because there is no proof that you are up to that scale to share. The second one, if you are taking e-learning from expert professors, you will have a score higher than you are conducting your own class with the professor who are beyond the capabilities of what they are teaching. So it will force people to take e-learning from other universities and to force the credit transfer. Number 3, and this is interesting. One of the points of the accreditation saying that you have to publish. To prove how many publications you have, we will use Google. Yeah, you can say that you already published hundreds of papers. They don't care. They just search in Google and let's see the hits. How popular is your journals? Because bottom line, if you share your journals, if you share your masterpiece, it will be on the different web pages. So the more you share, the higher the score of the campus. And from the assessor point of view, the person who do the assessment, we do developing those basic principles together. And we always invite our assessors to come to the national seminars and conference, so they know about the Open Education Initiative. That's why from 21 people from Indonesia, 2 are our assessors. So they will see how this Open Education Initiative become a trend. And the last one we are doing is showing real-world example or testimonies from the campus that are succeed or give or have the direct benefit after they share what they have. This is from the accreditation board force. Next slide. Education trend force. We do the education and socialization all over the country by using the roadshow to change the paradigm of our professors and our faculty members. Why? I said to all the professors one time, I did research on 40 hospitals who has the new generation couple that deliver the first baby of the family. And from that research, we just want to say to the professor that from today's generation point of view, the concept of internet comes first before the concept of studying. The concept of internet comes first before the concept of campus, government, commerce, or other kind of things. So the trend here is saying that content is everywhere. ICT is the tool where our new generation is used to learn, and you cannot run away from that fact. If you want to stay relevant, you have to be prepared for this generation. And the last force is, next slide, is the values or expectation force. At the end of the day, the ministers, the deans, the rector will ask, what is the direct benefits by sharing something? And I said, it's simple. The direct benefit is you enjoying internet. Because we know internet is there because we are sharing. Improving the quality of education, increasing student intakes, and optimizing the use of resources. In our association, Computer Science University, we already have these direct benefits. We have more PhD candidates currently, and we have more universities who have new B accreditation out of C's after we do this initiative. And next slide. So, if we put all together the internal and external factors, here we come the open education ecosystem in Indonesia. We have to design all of this domain so that everybody will embrace the initiative voluntarily and with passion. The question is why we are here. Next slide. Help. Why in Cambridge? Because this is one song by the Beatles. We need help from all of you. We need to do the joint courseware together. One of the Obama reasons coming to Indonesia 3 times is because the number of Indonesian students in the United States decreased significantly. During my age is number 1. Now is number 6. Number 6. 5 or 6? Number 6. Number 1 is Australia. Number 2 is Malaysia. Number 3 is Japan. So we want to do the joint courseware development again. We want to have the teaching and research collaboration because our research and teaching collaboration are still in a very low grades. The third one, we need a credit transfer possibilities. Why? Because we have 5 million students. In my association alone, we have 600,000 students. We want to have 1, 2, or 3 credits coming from other countries. 600,000 at once. credit earning scheme. This is the initiative where we take the credits from industry, not from other universities, but from vendors, from research centers, from training, or from any other certification bodies. And of course, professorship capacity building. 1 PhD to 1,500 is a PhD. If you talk about professor, forget it. Every campus in Indonesia, in average, we only have 4 professors. One university, about 1,000 to 2,000 students. We need also to share our learning resources. And this is the most interesting thing. The government have the scholarship or the grants 100 times bigger than my era, 20 years ago. But nobody take it for some reasons. We try to do the research why nobody takes these scholarships. Reason number 1, they don't want to go abroad without bringing all the families. That's why Australia and Malaysia becomes the favorite one, because it's only 4 hours from Indonesia to Perth, or 1 hour, 30 minutes to Malaysia. But if you can conduct it through e-learning, open education, or whatever initiative, we can absorb those scholarships. That's one of the problems that we are facing today. So that is our shares from our countries. We are coming here because we need help, because we want to collaborate, because we want to share. Yes, we don't use English as the second language. When I graduated from primary school, from secondary school, I couldn't speak English at all. I grew up in the remote area. After 7 years in remote area, I moved to the capital city of Jakarta, and I almost don't graduate in school because they are starting to use English. Thanks to my grandma, because my grandma said, it's easy to learn English. What my grandma gave it to me is 10 CDs of the Beatles. This is a true story, because the lyric of the Beatles is so simple, but it's up to the, learn the simple vocabulary, but the meaning is deep. So I memorized the Beatles. I know 1,000 songs of the Beatles. And after I know all the songs of the Beatles, my grandma gave me Everly Brothers, Elvis Presley, Pat Boone, including Engelbert Humperdinck. So here we are here. So that Cambridge, England, Liverpool have special meanings to me, because that is the first time I learned how to speak English, and thanks to my grandma, you're already in heaven, I think, and smiling with me today, because I can say hi to all of the Beatles friends. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our shares, and if you come to Jakarta or to Indonesia, anytime, if you have a problem, just find Eko. It's very simple. Somebody will bring you to the closest Eko, and then he will help you, because Indonesian people like to help strangers. We don't have don't talk to strangers thing. You have to talk to strangers, because you have to help him. If you have a problem in Indonesia, go to Apticom before you go to your embassy. Thank you. Thank you. Now Q&A, and my fellow will be very happy to answer it. Professor Ucok, maybe you can step, because we do the research together. Professor Ucok is the Vice Chairman of Indonesian National ICT Council. We have 7 flagships, and one of the flagship is e-learning and open education. So it's under Professor Ucok. Yeah. That's it. Maybe there's a question from you?
About 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay. Yes, sir.
You said a lot about...
Sorry, can you just wait for the...
Oh, excellent. Thank you. You said a lot about university education. Can you give us a few minutes, or a minute, about primary education?
Okay. The K-12 education. I will start by okay. Actually, our minister was scheduled to come here today. But unfortunately, today is the first day of Indonesian national exam. Can you remember we have national exam where 3 million students have to take exam at the same time. We have 3 different time zones. In the K-12, oh, by the way, Indonesia, by constitution, have to allocate 20% of the national expense to education. Yeah, 20%. And from that 20%, thank you, 15% belongs to K-12. Only 5% goes to the higher education. But although almost all schools in Indonesia have access to computer, but we still have more than 30% of schools who are not in a good condition. Still in the remote area, no roof, yeah, and then, but this is very strange. Out of 237 population, our handphones numbers is 215 million. So the penetration of gadget is much more higher than the penetration of PC or notebooks. So maybe Pak Uca will say, maybe our posture is the...
That's the potential area where the open education can come in. Because the penetration of this mobile device very high in Indonesia. So, and we haven't really get an opportunity to utilize that for the teaching and learning. Yeah. So that's another potential area. And secondly, especially for the K-12, the participation rate is only 60%, as compared to higher educations around 26%. That's also another big issue in addition to what Eko just said. So we need to increase this number.
And this 20% of the budget, the government pay for the infrastructure to whole primary school, K-12. One of the issues that we are facing right now, we have the infrastructures, we don't have the content. It's like a highway without, yes. And our parliament is already started to angry. Unless you put something on top of this one, yeah, we can talk again about that 20%. The last initiative we have is one school, one lab. We call it OSOL, one school, one lab. We are going to move over to one student, one notebook. But, you know, we are always trying to achieve those targets. But, quote unquote, as you know, Indonesia is one of the countries where the corruption index is quite high. So every time we want to do the procurement, everyone we want to do the big purchasing things, they're always an issue. So if the government plays safe, let's forget it. So we are trying to move to the new scheme on public-private partnership, which is moving from CapEx to OpEx, moving for capital expenditure to operational expenditures. We don't invest, somebody else invests, but we pay per view. We pay per transaction. We pay per use. That's already become our workable business model. Because if you have to do the capital expenditure, CapEx, everybody will ask for who is the procurement, you buy so many things to the whole country, how is the tendering doing, the bidding. Almost all biddings go to court, especially the high bidding because of the 40 million. So we are looking for that.
We've been there too.
Oh, okay. Now you know this. Say this.
Okay. You're happy just to stop the question and answer there. I think I'm sure many of you would like to be able to ask more questions and talk to Eko and his colleagues, but we do have to sort of try and keep to schedule for these things. And my apologies for the difficulties we had earlier, particularly to Eko in doing very well in coping with the situation we provided. I'd just also like to take this opportunity to give a token of thanks to Eko for...
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh.
Also, to finish off this session, I'd also just like to invite up Mary Lou Ford from the Open Courseware Consortium to make a further announcement before we move into the next session.
So So ECHO had the opportunity to invite you to Indonesia, and we would like to second that invitation because next year's OpenCourseware Global Conference will actually be held in Indonesia.
Oh.
And we're very pleased to have Apticom as our co-host. So thank you to ECHO for submitting his application and to hosting us next year, and we do hope to see all of you there. We're also honored to have a representative here today from the Embassy of Indonesia to talk a little bit more about Indonesia and extend a further invitation.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Pak Fauzi. So let me introduce Mr. Fauzi is our education attaché in Indonesian Embassy in England. And then we just know that we have been selected as the host for next year's. And out of 18,000 islands, we choose one island that you know the most. We call the island is Bali.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As the Education Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in London, I would like to convey the message from the Indonesian government to thank you for the honor of having us as the host of the OpenCourseware Consortium Annual Conference in Bali next year. As stated by ECHO, Bali is only one of the 18,677 islands during the low tide. It's a small island just by Java Island, but we call the island as the land of the gods because there are so many what do you call that, temples in Bali, and we do have many white sand beaches. Also, we have beautiful mountain in Bali. So I would like to extend our invitation to all of you, including your friends and also your family, to join us for the next conference in Bali. And as the token of the appreciation from the Apticom and also the government of Indonesia, I would like to present a set of traditional dress to the Executive Director of OpenCourseware Consortium, Ms. Mary Lu Forward. Please come forward.
So this is from the people of Bali. Yeah. And
thank you, Mary Lou. As for the others, we are going to distribute what we call the Balinese traditional headband called udeng. Okay, this is usually worn by men. So all the men can wear udeng right now, if you would like to, and I will show you how to wear it. As for the women, we have some flowers for you to put on the side of your hair. So you can wear them all. Let me show you how to wear them. There are many colors. This is the front side. You just go like this, and then turn it twice. And make two bows in front of you. I hope I can do this.
there's a flower also for the woman.
So for the ladies, there's flower, and for the men, you can wear udong. The first bow is easy, but the second bow is usually hard.
Yeah.
Seems to me you are all Balinese now. You can all play gamelan now.
Yeah, that's for the woman. For the woman, there's examples. Who?
For the women, you just put it on the side, and there is a clip for you to wear.
Oh, you have gamelan over there. Nicely. Okay, while you are struggling with your pen, yeah, this is the example for the woman. Yeah.
For the women, there is a hair clip that you can put it on the side. Usually on the right side, but you can wear it on the left side if you want to. Once again, on behalf of the Indonesian government and also from Apticom, I would like to invite you all to Bali. I hope to see you all with your family and your friends to the next conference. I would like to bid you welcome to Indonesia, welcome to Bali. I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.